Wow, so a lot of Nintendo Switch 2 news came out today, and a lot of it is exciting stuff. There's one story in here that I think is going to frustrate a lot of people, but at the end of the day, I'm very excited about what we're talking about today because it's a nice variety of so many things, from controllers to games to the Switch 2 being stolen from the factory. That's quite a story. But before we get through all of these stories, I'm going to ask you guys to please make sure that you are subscribed to the channel, as we are trying to hit 17,000 subscribers before the end of next month, as I am heading to New York City for the Switch 2 launch, where we're going to be uploading every day. In fact, we've been doing Switch 2 videos every single day. Everyone's been loving them. So if you haven't subscribed or liked the video, I would greatly appreciate it. If not, it's all good, I guess. But without further ado, let's get right into the news. Let's start with a small one. It has been confirmed that the Nintendo Switch 2 Joy-Cons are actually having the same battery life as the Joy-Cons 1 over there on the Switch 1. If y'all were a fan of those batteries, then you should have no issue, because the Switch 2 battery life when it comes to the Joy-Cons are going to be exactly the same. It's actually going to have a smaller battery put into it. All right, another unexpected thing is that the Nintendo Switch 2 hardware has been stolen. It is from the factory. There's actually videos out there, but we cannot show those videos on here because the video will be taken down. I don't know what else is going to come from this, if we're going to see the inside of a Switch 2, people trying to like see what's inside of the code. I don't know what's going to come from this, because it's obviously a Switch 2 that hasn't been properly finished yet. So I don't know if there's any restrictions within the hardware. So there might be a lot of leaks that come out of the Switch 2 hardware. I don't really know what else they could leak from the system, what they can do with this type of product, but it's out there in the wild. Expect to see a lot of videos of the Switch 2 UI and just whatever else that there is to show with the Nintendo Switch 2. Don't think they're gonna really be able to show up much, since, you know, they don't have any games for the system, but who knows? It'll be interesting to see what comes from this. I know that the Nintendo ninjas are gonna be looking for whoever stole this Switch, and you're never gonna see that person on this planet, because that's what they do. They sneak in the shadows and take down everyone. I'm telling y'all, y'all don't believe them, but they are real people. We've seen many people talk about them, and this is going to be one of those stories that we probably will never hear about ever again, because Nintendo doesn't want this to be spread. No one will know what happened to the individual that stole the Nintendo Switch 2. All right, this next one is a rumor. Obviously, the Elder Scrolls Oblivion Remake just got announced today. It actually came out today. I think it's like a remaster remake. It's like an in-between both, because it looks very impressive, and it's more than a remaster, but I would say it's not quite a remake. So I don't know what you call the in-between of that, but it came out today, and there was no announcement for the Nintendo Switch 2 version. However, there is reports that a Switch 2 version is in the works. Now, it is a rumor. However, I do feel like it's safe to say that this is definitely going to happen. Phil Spencer has already talked about how they want to support the Nintendo Switch 2, and we have yet to see a single Microsoft game get announced for the Switch 2 yet. So it makes sense to have Oblivion on the Switch 2, as Skyrim was on the Switch 1 and did crazy numbers, and I'm sure that this Oblivion remake would do crazy numbers for the Switch 2. The question is, when are we going to see this game head to the Switch 2? I'm not really sure. I do think we're going to get some Xbox games coming to the Switch 2 very soon, but there's so many that they could be bringing over that I don't know what's going to be a priority for them. I feel like Doom is something that they're going to really want to get. Indiana Jones, I feel like, is coming. I feel like the Halo Master Chief Collection is probably coming to the Switch 2. I don't know. I don't think Xbox is going to want to release multiple games so close to each other, but I do think that we are definitely getting Oblivion on the Switch 2, as it just makes the most sense. I believe it's already out on every platform. And if you have the right platform to play this game, it is out now. And I know it hasn't been officially announced for Switch 2, but I feel like it's safe to say that this game is definitely coming. It's just a matter of when. All right, this is probably going to be the one that frustrates a lot of people, but Nintendo uploaded a video where they're doing this series that's called The Curator's Voice. They actually did one with Joseph Fares on Split Fiction, and in today's Curator's Voice, they actually did a video on the Hogwarts Legacy Switch 2 version that's coming out. And the game actually looks very impressive. They have showed a lot more footage into that trailer. I highly recommend you guys take a look at that if Hogwarts Legacy is a game that you're wanting to get for Switch 2. But the bad news about Hogwarts Legacy for Nintendo Switch 2, and listen, we could be wrong here, but the wording that was used in this video kind of indicates that if you already own Hogwarts Legacy for the Switch 1, that you don't get to get like a free upgrade or pay for the upgraded version of the Switch 2 visuals and all that. You're going to have to buy Hogwarts Legacy again for Nintendo Switch 2 if you want the updated Switch 2 visuals, all that. Which is very, very unfortunate, but at the same time, I know a lot of people are not going to be happy with what I'm about to say. I kind of get it. Hogwarts Legacy, the Switch 1 version, was probably a very expensive Switch port to make happen. And I'm sure it sold very well, but they have said that in this curator's voice that the Hogwarts Legacy Switch 2 edition isn't a port. They had to remake the whole game for Switch 2, which, you know, it's a more powerful hardware, so it probably wasn't as challenging to make something as like the Switch 1 version of the game was. But I feel like they would probably be losing a lot of money and probably make nothing off the Switch 2 version if they had it to be a free upgrade. However, I do feel like that Switch 1 owners should get some type of discount for already owning the game, but it seems like you're stuck to having to pay for the game all over again. At the same time though, this is going to be a whole different experience if you do end up getting this, because if you compare the Switch 1 to the Switch 2 version of the game, it's entirely a different game. It makes sense to me, and I know a lot of people are worried that this could be something that we will see with other third-party games out there. And I think it's really just going to be Hogwarts Legacy, just due to the fact of what that Switch 1 port was. Because this is like a totally different game at this point, because of the comparisons that there are going to be between these two versions. I get it. It's frustrating though. I wish there was some sort of discount. I feel like you shouldn't have to worry about other third parties going this direction. I really think it's just going to be Hogwarts Legacy. Maybe something like, I'm trying to think, what was another Switch 1 game that had just a major difference if you played the Switch version compared to other consoles? There's probably another third-party game out there, like Batman Arkham Trilogy. That could be one that I could see Warner Brothers being like, hey, we're going to charge people more for the Switch 2 version since, you know, like Arkham Knight had so many issues and was just such a different game on Switch. This is going to be a rare thing that you see. Don't look at this as a common thing to happen with third-party ports. I really think you're going to get these updates. And if they're paid for, I think it'll be not a $60 update that you have to pay for. It'd be like 10 bucks. I still think a lot of this is going to be free though. So Activision and Blizzard actually commented on Diablo 4 coming to the Nintendo Switch 2. They talked about how the power of the Switch 2 is quite impressive and that Diablo 4 could probably run on the Nintendo Switch 2. And it was something that they were going to look at. It's something that they have not closed the door on. But they said they want to wait to see how live service things are going to work for the Switch 2 before they put time and effort into making Diablo 4 for the Nintendo Switch 2. Now, I know that Diablo 3 did really well for the Switch 1, and I guess it did so well that they put Diablo 2, the remake or whatever it was that they made, on the regular Switch 1, which a lot of people was not expecting that. However, I expect that Diablo 2 was not as much of a success as Diablo 3 was for the Switch, and I think Activision and Blizzard, that's why they made a statement like that. Now, I think it's interesting that they're focused on how live service stuff's going to work, because I feel like Diablo 4 would do very big numbers, especially if they were able to get it out as soon as possible, considering that Diablo 3 did so well for Switch. I think this game is coming to the Switch. I just think it's going to take a few years probably at this point, because it sounds like the version has not been in development yet, and I just don't understand why they would want to wait for live service to see how that's going to work for Switch 2, because I feel like, I don't know, that's going to be a big loss on Blizzard's fault or problem right there, because Blizzard, if they had released Diablo 4 within the first year of the system, that would have done really, really well for them. I think this is a dumb decision, but I still think we're getting Diablo 4 at some point. It's just gonna be a few years. All right, we have an updated story for you guys. Now, a few weeks ago, we talked about how Nintendo UK, I believe is what it was, they posted a video regarding the GameCube controller for Nintendo Switch 2, showing that it was only going to work for the GameCube app on Switch 2. Nintendo has now updated their statement indicating that they are saying that the GameCube controller will work on more things than just that, but it's not going to work on every game, which this makes the most sense to me. I was always confused why people were really wanting the GameCube controller to work on every Nintendo Switch game, because obviously the GameCube controller doesn't have all the functionality that some of these games use in today's time with like HD Rumble, or just like amiibo support, motion controls, stuff like that. And it was really weird to me to see people boycotting the GameCube controller that Nintendo was coming out with because it didn't have this. But I had said that I thought that this was going to be updated to work with other games, because Nintendo has always updated like the GameCube adapter, for example, to work with Mario Sunshine and so forth. So it's good to see that Nintendo said that this is going to work on certain games, and I'm sure those certain games are going to be like Mario Sunshine, like the 3D All-Stars port, Pikmin 1 and 2, Smash Bros, stuff like that. I think this is exciting to see. I'm still confused why people wanted this so bad, because I don't know, maybe I'm looking at it the wrong way and I'm looking pretty dumb right now potentially, but I was always confused why there was so much hate about this. But at least it's fixed now. All right, so in other countries, you can obviously pre-order the Nintendo Switch 2, and I figured it would be cool to show a pre-order story, as by the time this video comes out later tonight is when the drop of the Nintendo Switch 2 pre-orders are going to be for online. And over in France, it is one of the biggest launches ever when it comes to pre-orders. It has been selling like crazy over in France. High numbers, unexpected numbers. One of the biggest retailers over in France has talked about how the Mario Kart bundle is selling like absolutely crazy right now. So I think it's just very interesting to talk about how this system is selling well right now, considering that there is so much controversy regarding this system. And it's one of those things that I will eventually do a video on, where Nintendo fans suck at boycotting because they'll hate on something but still buy it anyways. In fact, there's another YouTuber out there that I'm not gonna say any names, but you guys will probably have an idea of who I'm talking about, that was talking about so many things regarding the Switch 2, making so many hate videos on it, and as soon as those pre-order information came out that it'd be available tonight, they were like, ooh, I gotta pre-order the system. Kind of funny to see, and I'm sure that the pre-orders and just the system is going to do very well, and it's gonna be one of those things that'll be funny to look back on, because people boycotted it so much and still ended up buying the system. This happened with many other things with Nintendo with its prices, like Skyward Sword HD. People hated on the price, still bought it anyways. But at the end of the day, by the time this video comes out, Switch 2 is going to be available for pre-order at midnight, or midnight EST. Whatever time zone you guys are in, just convert the time, you'll figure it out. Good luck trying to pre-order the Switch 2. I am getting the system in New York, so I am going in with no pre-order, which is probably going to be a really bad idea potentially. But it won't be a bad idea if I get the system at Nintendo New York, which is the plan. Prayers up for me, because that's going to be very scary if I go to New York and then leave New York with no Switch 2 and then I'm stuck trying to find the system. It's going to be a mess, but it's going to be an awesome mess. Guys, that's all I have for you. Make sure to backslash that subscribe button, like the video, check out the Twitter, check out the Discord server, check out the Instagram, become a Monado Marine. $5 a month helps out the channel tremendously. It's like YouTube's membership thing. So if you want to do it, all the money I'm making on YouTube right now is going towards our New York City trip. Can't wait to film those videos. It's going to be a fun time out there. I will see y'all in the next video. Peace.